20 Curiosities about Richard Nixon. Hi, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States of America. Richard Milhouse Nixon was born on January 9, 1913, in Yorba Linda, California. He was the second of 5 sons born to Francis Anthony Nixon and Hannah Milhouse Nixon. His father, Frank Nixon, was a grocer and gas station owner, while his mother, Hannah, was a devout Quaker who instilled in her children the values of hard work and religious devotion. Nixon's early years were marked by hardship and perseverance. Growing up in a modest home, he faced the loss of 2 brothers to illness, which deeply affected him and his family. Despite these challenges, Nixon excelled academically. He attended Fullerton Union High School and later transferred to Whittier High School, where he graduated 3rd in his class. After high school, Nixon received a full scholarship to attend Whittier College, a small Quaker institution. There, he demonstrated his leadership skills by serving as student body president and participating in debate and drama clubs. Nixon graduated from Whittier College in 1934 and then earned a scholarship to Duke University School of Law, where he graduated in 1937. His time at Duke was formative, as he distinguished himself academically and was elected president of the Duke Bar Association. Nixon's entry into politics began in the late 1930s. After practicing law in Whittier, California, and working as a tire rationing attorney for the Office of Price Administration during World War II, Nixon joined the U.S. Navy in 1942. He served in the Pacific Theater and rose to the rank of lieutenant commander. Upon his return to civilian life in 1946, Nixon was persuaded by local Republican leaders to run for Congress. He campaigned on a strong anti-communist platform, which resonated with voters in the post-war era. In 1946, Nixon won a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, representing California's 12th congressional district. His political career quickly gained momentum as he played a prominent role in the House Un-American Activities Committee, where he helped to investigate and prosecute alleged communist spies, including the high-profile case against Alger Hiss. Nixon's relentless pursuit of Hiss earned him national recognition and solidified his reputation as a staunch anti-communist. Building on his success in the House, Nixon was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1950. His tenure as a senator was brief but impactful, as he continued to champion anti-communist causes and established himself as a rising star within the Republican Party. In 1952, Dwight D. Eisenhower selected Nixon as his running mate for the presidential election. The Eisenhower-Nixon ticket won a decisive victory, and Nixon became Vice President of the United States at the age of 39. Nixon's political journey from a modest upbringing in California to the highest echelons of American government is a testament to his ambition, resilience, and dedication. His early experiences and relentless pursuit of his goals set the stage for a career that would leave a lasting impact on American politics, marked by both significant achievements and profound controversies. Today, we are highlighting the most notable accomplishments and darkest moments of Richard Nixon's life in politics. We aim to give a balanced view of his legacy, with 20 curious facts that showcase both the high and the low points that defined his career. Number 20. Opening relations with China. In 1972, Richard Nixon made a historic visit to the People's Republic of China, meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong. This groundbreaking trip marked the first time a U.S. president had visited China since the Communist Revolution in 1949. Nixon's visit paved the way for the normalization of diplomatic relations between the two countries, significantly altering the global geopolitical landscape. His actions helped to open up China to the world, initiating a period of diplomatic and economic engagement that continues to this day. Number 19. The Watergate Scandal. The Watergate scandal is perhaps the most infamous episode of Nixon's political career. In June 1972, a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C., set off a chain of events that would ultimately lead to Nixon's downfall. The subsequent cover-up efforts by Nixon and his administration led to a full-scale investigation. On August 8, 1974, facing near-certain impeachment, Nixon resigned from the presidency, becoming the first and only U.S. president to do so. Number 18. Environmental legislation. Nixon's administration saw the establishment of significant environmental protections. In 1970, he signed the National Environmental Policy Act, which required federal agencies to assess the environmental impact of their actions. The same year, Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to consolidate federal efforts to protect the environment. Additionally, he signed the Clean Air Act of 1970 and the Endangered Species Act of 1973, laying the groundwork for future environmental policy. Number 17. The Saturday Night Massacre. The Saturday Night Massacre on October 20, 1973, was a pivotal moment in the Watergate scandal. Nixon ordered the firing of Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox, who was investigating the scandal. When Attorney General Elliot Richardson and Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus refused and resigned, Solicitor General Robert Bork complied and dismissed Cox. This event intensified public and congressional calls for Nixon's impeachment. Number 16. SALT-I Treaty. In 1972, Nixon and Soviet General Secretary Leonid Brezhnev signed the Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, SALT-I Treaty. This agreement was a crucial step in curbing the nuclear arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union. The treaty included the Anti-Ballistic Missile, ABM Treaty, which limited the deployment of missile defense systems. SALT-I marked a significant achievement in arms control and eased Cold War tensions. Number 15. The Houston Plan. In 1970, Nixon approved the Houston Plan, a secret program aimed at expanding domestic surveillance and intelligence-gathering activities. Named after White House aide Tom Houston, the plan proposed illegal activities, including wiretapping, mail interception, and break-ins to monitor political dissidents. Although the plan was never fully implemented, its existence highlighted Nixon's willingness to bypass legal constraints to achieve political goals. Number 14. Revenue sharing. Nixon introduced the concept of revenue sharing in 1972, which redirected federal funds directly to state and local governments. This policy was intended to give states more flexibility in addressing their specific needs without the constraints of federal regulations. The State and Local Fiscal Assistance Act of 1972 provided billions of dollars to local governments, helping to fund various public services and infrastructure projects. Number 13. The Enemies List. Nixon's Enemies List was a compilation of political opponents and critics whom the administration sought to target and undermine. Compiled by White House counsel John Dean, the list included journalists, politicians, and activists. The existence of the list, revealed during the Watergate hearings, underscored the administration's vindictive and paranoid approach to dissent and opposition. Number 12. Philadelphia Plan. In 1969, Nixon implemented the Philadelphia Plan, a groundbreaking affirmative action policy. The plan required government contractors in Philadelphia to hire minority workers, aiming to address racial discrimination in employment. This initiative laid the foundation for future affirmative action policies and significantly advanced civil rights in the workplace. Number 11. The Cambodian Incursion. Nixon's decision to expand the Vietnam War into Cambodia in 1970, known as the Cambodian Incursion, sparked widespread protests and controversy. The administration aimed to disrupt North Vietnamese supply lines, but faced criticism for escalating the conflict and bypassing congressional approval. The incursion led to the tragic Kent State shootings, where National Guardsmen killed 4 students during a protest, further fueling anti-war sentiment. If you like our work, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get informed each time we upload a new video. Number 10. End of the draft. Nixon played a crucial role in ending the military draft, transitioning the United States to an all-volunteer force. In 1973, He signed legislation that ended the draft and established the modern volunteer military. This move was partly in response to widespread opposition to conscription during the Vietnam War and marked a significant shift in U.S. military policy. Number 9. The Ellsberg Break-In. The Ellsberg break-in was a covert operation carried out by the White House plumbers to discredit Daniel Ellsberg. Ellsberg, who leaked the Pentagon Papers, became a target of the Nixon administration. The plumbers broke into his psychiatrist's office in September 1971 to find information to discredit him. This illegal act further demonstrated the lengths to which Nixon's administration would go to silence its critics. Number 8. School desegregation. Nixon's administration took significant steps to enforce school desegregation, particularly in the southern United States. Under his leadership, the federal government worked to dismantle the dual school systems that had persisted despite the Brown v. Board of Education decision. By 1971, more than 90% of black children in the South were attending integrated schools, a notable achievement in the civil rights movement. Number 7. The Pentagon Papers. The Pentagon Papers, a classified Department of Defense study on U.S. political and military involvement in Vietnam, were leaked to the press in 1971. The Nixon administration's efforts to prevent their publication led to a landmark Supreme Court case, which ultimately ruled in favor of the press. The papers revealed government deception regarding the Vietnam War, damaging public trust and further tarnishing Nixon's reputation. Number 6. The Clean Air Act. Nixon signed the Clean Air Act of 1970, which was one of the most comprehensive air quality laws in U.S. history. The act aimed to reduce air pollution and improve public health by setting stringent standards for emissions from both stationary sources, like factories, and mobile sources, like cars. This legislation marked a significant step forward in environmental protection. Number 5. The ITT scandal. The ITT, International Telephone and Telegraph Scandal, involved allegations that the Nixon administration intervened in a Justice Department antitrust lawsuit against ITT in exchange for political contributions. The scandal came to light in 1972 when ITT lobbyist Dita Beard's memo suggested a quid pro quo arrangement. Although the allegations were never fully proven, the scandal raised questions about corruption and undue influence in the administration. Number 4. The War on Cancer. In 1971, Nixon signed the National Cancer Act, launching the War on Cancer. This act significantly increased funding for cancer research and established the National Cancer Institute as the primary federal agency responsible for coordinating cancer research efforts. Nixon's initiative led to advances in cancer treatment and research, saving countless lives over the decades. Number 3. The Chequers Speech. In 1952, Nixon, then a vice presidential candidate, was accused of using a secret fund for personal expenses. In a televised address known as the Chequers Speech, Nixon defended himself, denying any wrongdoing and insisting the only gift he received was a dog named Checkers. While the speech saved his political career, it also showcased Nixon's early brushes with scandal and his skillful use of media to sway public opinion. Number 2. The Family Assistance Plan. Nixon proposed the Family Assistance Plan, FAP, in 1969, aiming to reform the welfare system. The plan sought to provide a guaranteed minimum income for American families, replacing existing welfare programs. Although FAP ultimately failed to pass in Congress, it represented a bold attempt at social reform and highlighted Nixon's willingness to address poverty and income inequality. Number 1. The Watergate Tapes. The Watergate tapes were the smoking gun that ultimately led to Nixon's resignation. Recordings of conversations in the Oval Office revealed Nixon's involvement in the Watergate cover-up. The Supreme Court's decision in United States v. Nixon forced Nixon to release the tapes, which provided undeniable evidence of his complicity. The tapes' release and the subsequent public outrage made it clear that Nixon's presidency could not survive. After resigning from the presidency on August 9, 1974, Richard Nixon faced a period of public disgrace and financial difficulties. In the immediate aftermath, he retired to his home in San Clemente, California, where he spent time writing his memoirs, RN, The Memoirs of Richard Nixon, published in 1978. The book was a significant commercial success and helped to restore some of his financial stability. In 1976, Nixon was disbarred by the New York State Bar Association, which effectively ended any plans he may have had to resume a legal career. Despite this setback, he gradually re-entered public life, offering his insights on foreign policy and international relations. Over the years, Nixon authored 9 more books, covering a range of topics from his experiences in the White House to analyses of global political dynamics. Nixon's keen understanding of international affairs led to his re-emergence as an elder statesman. He traveled extensively, meeting with world leaders and offering advice on foreign policy matters. His visits to China and the Soviet Union were particularly significant, as they reflected his ongoing interest in the regions he had once worked to open up to the United States during his presidency. In 1980, Nixon moved to a townhouse in New York City, where he continued to write and consult. By the mid-1980s, he had relocated to Saddle River, New Jersey. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, he remained a sought-after commentator on geopolitical issues, often appearing in interviews and contributing to major publications. Nixon's later years were also marked by personal milestones and health challenges. In 1990, the Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum opened in Yorba Linda, California, near his birthplace. The library serves as a repository for his presidential papers and a center for scholarly research on his administration and broader American political history. On April 18, 1994, Richard Nixon suffered a severe stroke at his home in Park Ridge, New Jersey. He was admitted to New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center, where his condition continued to deteriorate. Nixon passed away on April 22, 1994, at the age of 81. His funeral, held at the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda, was attended by all 5 living U.S. presidents at the time, reflecting the complex legacy and enduring impact of his career. Richard Nixon's post-presidency years were a mix of rehabilitation, reflection, and continued influence on global affairs. Despite the shadow of Watergate, his contributions to American foreign policy and his efforts to reshape his public image ensured that he remained a significant figure in American history until his death. We are glad you have reached the end of the video. Please subscribe to the channel and leave suggestion about any topic of your choice in the comments. We'll be back real soon with 20 new curious facts about something else.